All right, we are live once again on Shootin the Shizz with DK and the Schwag with my co-host, the big man, Brett Wagner. What's going on, buddy?
Man, just it's Father's Day, so I know you're a father. I don't
Yeah.
know if our guest is a father, but I'll just whisper. I'll just not whisper. What the hell? I'll just say Happy Father's Day to both of you and all the people, all the fathers out there watching our show tonight.
Right
Yeah.
back at you, Brett.
The ones with us and the ones who have left us, the men that impacted our lives growing up. And tonight we have a special guest with us, Mr. Mr. Joe Souza. So I keep saying
There you go.
I think I can get it out. Mr. Joe Souza from MonstahXpo 3D. And tomorrow you got a big thing going on. And it's kind of how I met through Beatrice Bupley, Amanda Kruger, DK and the Bees Horror Buzz. You had the MonstahMag coming out, and I got on board with getting a page in there. I know she did as well.
Yeah.
And that launches tomorrow, doesn't it?
Actually, that is launched. So anybody watching could actually go to MonstahMag right now. Officially, we launch at midnight for Monday, but we're all done. I just finished and came down here. So, I mean, if you wanted to sneak over there now and take a peek, you pretty much could and, see how it's running and stuff. And we're going to, run it for the next couple of days. And sure, we're going to have to tweak some stuff, but we're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Joe. If we'll get into the conventions and stuff you do, but you just decided to start them online and hardcover, right? You can actually get a physical copy of MonstahMag.
Definitely adamant on getting it in people's hands and having a tangible product, not just a online thing.
Why, Joe? Why do a magazine? And this is I believe you call it. Hold on, it was a really good one. I really liked. You call it where did it go? Hold on, I got it here. MonstahMag Northeast Indie Magazine. I mean the New England's.
There you go. Yep, New England's independent horror magazine. So
why start doing a magazine?
Basically, I have a lot of friends that are vendors, creators, and they need an outlet. They can't come up or have time to run a Kickstarter to get the money you need to actually print things. So if they can get a little snippet of it printed, they can get a story printed or something like that, and they're not going to have to, pay out of their pocket, and they could possibly even get paid and get out there and, find some exposure. And it gives people an easier platform to get their foot in the door as well, and just to help grow independent horror in New England.
That's great because I mean, obviously, if people don't know, New England is a hotbed first of all, for people loving the horror business. I know there's a lot of independent filmmakers out there. There's guys like yourself who put on cons. And when you were growing up, obviously you grew up out that way. You can tell by the accent.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, were you a big sci-fi horror kind of kid, or?
Yeah, all day long. I grew up with comic books, and my grandmother exposed me to horror films way too early in my life. I was living in Tiverton, Rhode Island, which is a small town. We didn't get cable till I was like a teenager, but my grandmother lived in the city, so she had cable. So I would stay there on the weekends, and I'd just stay up watching USA Up All Night, watching all the Jasons and a lot of the what was the one they always played to death? Slumber Party Massacre. They just played that one like every weekend, But it was American Werewolf in London was my first horror movie, and still to this day my favorite that my grandmother showed me. And I learned about Rick Baker at a very young age, and I just always wanted to do special effects and bloody stuff in the movies. And that's pretty much what got me started.
Rick Baker, the famous Rick Baker, for God's sakes.
Well, you got to remember, Brad, New England, we got Salem out there. A lot of Stephen King novels are in the New England area, whether it's Maine or...
And I think just being the oldest part of the country, we have all those colonial ghost stories and stuff, which are like my favorites, like the ghosts of the Civil War and things like that. Like, just the ghost and horror stories that mix in New England's history with it. That's really what I, tend to enjoy. And of course, Lovecraft being the big New England, our cover has Cthulhu on it for, New England being the first magazine.
It's a paranormal investigator's dream world out there.
Yeah.
A paranormal investigator. You want to go, if you're in America, you want to go there for sure. I think it's cool that you're doing the magazine. It adds to the convention. I know it's not easy. I'm sure your hands are full because you just had MonstahXpo.
Yeah.
What was that in April, May? No.
Yeah, it was the very end of April.
Yeah.
Usually it bleeds into May, but I think this time it was like the 29th and 30th of April, something like that. So yeah, about 6 weeks ago.
So you figured in between all the way to MonstahXpo 3D. What else can I do? Let me do a magazine and be playing.
I think we started putting the magazine together, I think in February. So we've been working on it for a while and finding contributors and people. And, everybody has best intentions, but life, gets ahead of a lot of people. So a lot of people that wanted to help out just couldn't find the time this issue. So it took us a while to get the ball rolling and get all the content in. But I feel like we're in a pretty good position now. And we're doing it quarterly. So it's 4 issues a year right now. So we're already taking submissions and working on stuff that, we didn't finish up for the first one that we're pushing on to the second. So it's going to be easier now that we got the first one done and the template made, if you know what I'm saying.
So let's talk a little bit about the content that it's going to be in the magazine and online that if folks, I know John was really excited when we talked about it. He was like, man, I'm going to throw some ads in there. I know Beatrice was excited, but for the common folk out there, the guys that are running their haunt or about to do a movie or just love the genre, what can they do with the magazine and with the online version?
So right now, we have advertising is open for the second issue. We have open submissions. If you have a story that you want to get printed or something like that, we're taking those and looking at those. We have classifieds that are free. Those are pretty filled up at the moment. So we're probably working on issue 3 for classifieds now, but those don't cost anything. You can just email us at classifieds at MonstahMag.com. If you have a project coming up and you need a director, if you're an FX guy and you need a project, if you want to say, hey, that hot girl on the subway down in Boston that I missed, you were drinking a Dunkin' Donuts.
Or if you need an actor.
Yeah,
or you need a host of a podcast.
Yeah, we're not picky. If you want to be funny and creative, you got a better chance of getting in than if it's just,
Well, I can't be either, but I can try.
Yeah.
So let me see what I can do. And we got actually, speaking of Beatrice, we were talking about a little earlier. Welcome to the stream, Beatrice Buckley, Amanda Kruger, Nightmare on Elm Street 5. She introduced me to you, and that's what got me started in the magazine. And I'm like, well,
Excellent.
You're doing a convention. I'm going to be in the magazine. I haven't been to the East Coast in a while. Yep. Unfortunately, Beatrice couldn't make this event, but you bringing in Brett's awesome. You got Bob Elmore, and I'm like, well, I got to go and get over to the East Coast, run into some old friends. Because like I said, I graduated from Franklin High School. It's many, many, many years ago. So, but I'm excited about that. And Beatrice has a page in MonstahMag as well with some inspiring Mama Kruger words.
She did like a, ask Mama Kruger, if you need some advice or something, you can write in and ask, Mama Kruger. And she actually is doing a couple recipes here and there.
She's
Monster inspired recipes to find in the magazine.
I'll give her a little prop too. This is an amazing book if you haven't had a chance to read it. The Kruger Curse, A Nightmare Before Elm Street. It's about Amanda Kruger's journey with Freddy. So if you ever meet Beatrice, check out the book. I absolutely love it. So we love you, Beatrice.
Such a blast at the show. She's so pleasant to all of her fans. She was great to work with. We're happy to have her back whenever our schedule allows it again. She was great. She was really great to work with. And we're going to continue to work together.
Such a sweet person. I love Beatrice to death. 2 of the greatest co-hosts I could ask for between Brett and Beatrice.
I'm telling you. So talking about you can send in your story. So somebody that never ever thought about maybe getting published, it could write something, even if it's just a page or something, or a treatment or something.
Yep.
You could get published on MonstahMag. And that's pretty cool, man, because I listen, Amanda, Beatrice wrote a book. I wrote a book. It ain't easy to get stuff published. It's definitely not easy to get, a cool story or something in a magazine, let alone, something brand new like MonstahMag. So that's pretty exciting. I think I might have to write something. I might have to write something again.
No, we got, my favorite magazines growing up were Fangoria, and Fangoria these days is still a great magazine. I mean, they got the best behind the scene pictures that I've, that they're always unearthing new stuff that I haven't seen. But when I picked up a Fangoria in the 80s, I was looking for the blood. It's not the same magazine that it was, because the 80s slasher days aren't, mainstream anymore. But back in the 80s, when you picked up a Fangoria, it was just page after page of hatchet wounds and necks getting sliced open and just blood everywhere. So we want to bring back that. So we have a section called The Gore You're Looking For, where we highlight our independent, movie makers, and they send us their goriest pictures, and it's just splash pages of, gore after gore. And, and then my second favorite book was Heavy Metal. I loved all the different comics, all the different stories. So we're going for a mix of the two. You're going to find some really strange stories, some new unique horror and sci-fi stories with a mix of, FX and blood and, local indie horror. And of course, we'll have some coverage of, more mainstream things here and there. We featured Lloyd Kaufman. We did a great interview with him for the first issue. Figured he'd be really good for the independent kickoff, and but we're really trying to focus on just these indie guys, and doing all the cons. We have an endless pool of people that are great to work with.
Well, there's so much talent in the indie community. I mean, even looking behind me, that's Krypt artist Michael Toth. Josh Lucas with the 3-Eyed Demon. Lonnie,
they're thirsty. Indie people are thirsty. They're pushing. What I mean?
Well, what I was going to say with the magazine and the fact that it's not going to be a mainstream magazine, you're giving people the opportunity to be in these magazines like back in the 80s and show off there's so many talented. I don't want to say unknown because they're known among the fans, but maybe somebody who doesn't collect or doesn't do what a lot of us do. And we'll appreciate it more and find that love that we found as kids reading these magazines and seeing these movies. And I think it's awesome you're bringing it back and letting people see what's out there.
That's just the tangible magazine of, it's just something that I don't want to go away. I want people to buy them, put them in a bag, save them. I want them to try to get the back issues later when they discover it, certain covers. I just want that to come back, the collectability of it all, I just think the nostalgia of it. Like, I want to still put, cut out this magazine piece to, send in the subscription. Nobody mails in subscriptions anymore, but it just still looks cool to see it,
Oh, listen, I collected Fangoria. I collected Heavy Metal. I collected Alfred E. Newman.
Mad Magazine. That was
Mad Magazine. I grew up going down. We were lucky that we had a comic book store, and it's actually still there 45 years later.
That's a good record for a comic book store.
Yeah, unbelievable. Continental Comics, and I went in there, and that's where I first came upon obviously Fangoria, and I came across Creepy and Eerie Magazine and Vampirella.
Yep.
So there's two things I own that, I will never get rid of. And two of them are, I have the complete collection of Creepy and Eerie Magazine that it took me, I'm 55 years old. It's taken me almost 50 years to collect all that stuff.
Yeah. Those covers are great. Like some of those Eerie covers are just amazing.
Oh, just, Franzetta, all these guys, Corbin, all these guys that, were artists, and then even the story writers, and then the stories in Creepy and Eerie and all, and Vampirella especially too, were so big as a kid, and you put that in front of somebody, then you give them Fangoria, which when I discovered Fangoria, I was like, oh my gosh, it's overload. And then when I got and then when I got the cover of Fangoria, I was like, well, I could die now. I'm happy. I'm done. Right. But then you realize, I got to get on another cover of Fangoria or something. So, it's obviously nice. I wrote a story with the late great Chris Carnell. We did a little thing on, and we had it I asked the guys at Horror Hound years ago. I said, listen, I'm filming this movie Chrome Skull. Can I take some pictures and write a little story about this behind the scenes? And he said, yeah, I'd love to put it in. So that was my first crack at seeing something in a magazine, and I was so excited. It was such a big deal that when the next issue, when that Horror Hound issue came out, and they said, Brett Wagner, Chris Carnell, and it had the whole thing that we wrote, I was blown away.
Yeah, people are like thanking me profusely, like, thank you so much for letting me be involved. And it's like, it's me that should be thanking you. Like, you're giving me these great stories and letting me share them, and you know what I mean? Like, hoping that sooner or later we can get in a better position to start, reimbursing some of these people that are volunteering their work, because I hate asking people to work for free. But a lot of people seem just happy to get published, So we're hoping that as it grows, you know, we can start taking care of the people that took care of us and grow together, so to speak.
It offers that opportunity. I mean, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. You offer a window to these other people, which I want to give a shout out to one of my guys who's going to be on the table, and he's in the chat. So I always love to support my guys. Daniel Cruz, he's working on some amazing things. I got an incredible 03 Leatherface that I got another one coming too. So a few Halloween.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's got some amazing work. His Michael Myers, he's my Michael Myers guy from now on.
Nice.
Does amazing work. So big.
So Joe, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just giving a shout out since he was.
Yeah, go.
I named everybody, and he's a big part of the table as well. Thank you for all you do, Daniel Cruz.
You know, Joe. So what was obviously growing up? What was your first convention that you went to, or con that you went to, that got you, got the juices flowing?
So there was a big gap for me. I went to Boston Comic Cons in the late 80s, early 90s, when it was really just a Comic Con. It was just a dingy basement room with long boxes of comic books, and you didn't see anything else but comics, maybe a random toy here or there. And then I just completely stopped going. And, I'm an artist myself. I make, Monster jars is what we started with. I think I've created a Monster as our actual studio, but the stuff I make is much more whimsical. My stuff always came out kind of cartoony, and, this is a stash jar. So it's like do a lot of utilitarian type stuff. So.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
tweeting that around. It's cool work, man. I dig it.
But I do different things, sculptures and stuff like that. But I always wanted it to be bloody and scary, but it always just kept coming out kind of funny. So I just kind of went with it and let it happen. So anyway, I started doing these sculptures, and I was at a big craft show here in Warwick, selling the sculpts, and a couple guys from I think it was Rhode Island Comic Con came up and was like, "Oh, you should really sell these at a comic convention." And I was like, well, why would I bring this to a comic convention? They're not comic books. And they're like, "Oh, I don't think you know what a comic convention is these days." So I went to, I think it was Comic-Con in Foxwoods in Connecticut that Altered Reality did, the people that actually run Rhode Island Comic Con. So that was my first experience with it. And it was more being surrounded with fellow creatives that got me drawn into it. Like meeting the celebrities was great. I kind of went after more of the special effects guys and the people that worked behind the scenes. But I'm a shy guy. So to go up to like celebrities and like talk to them, it was tough for me at first. I didn't know what to say. I kind of I was more about meeting other artists and being with all these creatives and, networking and just asking people about their work and seeing all the awesome and just being inspired again and finding a new group of people to surround myself with that really got me inspired to bring my work to the next level. So that's what kept me coming back to the shows. And then I just kind of wanted to go to everyone I could find,
It's an addiction. It
is. It really is. It's then you start, a lot of like Henson people started coming up to my tables and talking to me about it. And then you start going to dinner with one. And before you know it, you're, at the bar with Robert Englund and the guy from the Village people having drinks. And you're like, who the fuck am I? Like, how did this happen?
Wait a minute. Robert Englund and the guy from the Village people.
Yeah, it was,
there's a book. There's a book right there, Joe.
And Lance Henriksen. It was a fun night.
Nobody got naked. No one was harmed. No animals were harmed in that meeting that night.
No animals were harmed. We'll go with that.
So from going and setting up and selling some of your wares, and when did you decide that I'm going to take a crack at this? I'm going to put my own show on.
So I have 25 years production experience. We produce fine art shows in Boston, international fine art shows. So we had do some pretty high end, paintings, people coming from all over the world and huge galleries and stuff. So it was a very attention to detail job. I was the floor manager for the show. So, my job was to move everybody in, organize everybody, get everybody out, keep everybody happy throughout the thing, make sure all the union people are working right and the lights go up right, the rugs, blah, 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 blah. Everything that happened ran through me. So it was kind of like after COVID happened, I happened to be in a flea market and I don't know if you remember how COVID worked in Massachusetts, but if you had a venue, you could only have 200 people, no matter how big the venue was. But if you had a retail space, it went by your floor, your square footage. So since we had this flea market that had opened while COVID was starting to shut down, it was towards the end of it. The mask mandate had been lifted and all that. We were able to plan this little Comic-Con that was just going to be me and a few of my friends just to like get together, really. Like I had a venue that was free. So it's like we'll pull down 12, 15 vendors that I know. And we had a couple of like the friend of mine who owned a DeLorean, brought some movie cars. Before you know it, we had a little Comic-Con thrown together. I didn't charge the vendors. I didn't charge the, town. And we about 600 or 700 people show up miraculously for this little, Comic-Con. It was just a timing thing, and that's when everybody was like, if you were to do another show, I'd sign up. So, and even the people that attended were like, you should do a show. You should do a show. You should do a horror show. Rock and Shock's gone. Scaracon's gone. And I just kind of instantly already had the show sold out before it even existed. All these people that wanted to do it. So I just collected some booth rents, got a venue, and went to town. And
that's pretty amazing.
We're here 2 years later now, and I think we've had some pretty good growth for 2 years, and it's really all my friends and the people that we worked with that made it happen. It's a great group of people we have at this show, and that's what I'm most proud of is my friends that are there. And you'll see when you come that it's a different feeling. It's not commercial, it's not corporate, it's a very family feel. Everybody's happy. I learned from a very young age at my career in vending and building shows that from the very first vendor that steps on the floor, you need to set the tone with him because it's going to carry to the next vendor. Then it's going to carry to the guests, and it's going to carry to the attendees and make everybody happy right from the get-go. You set that, I'm here for you. Nice to meet you. You need me, you get this guy. We got you taken care of. Everybody's happy. Then the guests come in and the vendors treat them with that, and you can just feel it. You can really feel it on the floor, and it's just a good, happy feeling there.
It makes a big difference, and I'm sure John can attest to this when, oh my God, someone's calling me. When everybody's having a good time at something, when you walk in there and you see people smiling and laughing and having a good time, as opposed to when you have, 9,000 people and people, it's hot as hell and there's no room to walk around and people are just grumpy as hell. And it makes a big difference.
I just don't take anybody's money. You can't just like go to a site for my show and grab a table. Like we're going to vet you. We're going to talk to you if we don't know you. We're going to look at your stuff. We're going to look at your setup. We're going to look at how you treat the people on social media that you deal with. We're going to look at and ask about how you work with other people. Like I want you to do well. If I don't think you're going to fit in the show, I don't want to sell you a table and have you be miserable all week trying to sell something that I know is not going to sell. So we want to make sure we jury the show right. You're not going to walk into a room full of pops. It's not going to be everybody selling T-shirts and pops and all the same stuff. Like it's all different, unique artists and vendors that we really try to get.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, so John, what he's trying to say is he ran a background, been verified check on you to make sure
he is very thorough. I mean, I had to do the lie detector test. A little bit of water. I was really being honest because they didn't trust the test. I went through torture, but I got in because it is an exclusive club. But one of the things I really wanted to ask you is, the whole story you went through, is this like the last thing you expected to be doing was running not only a convention, now putting out a magazine? Was this ever your goal to do it, or is it just kind of something that came together without you knowing? It just kind of before you knew it, it's like a bonus.
It's close, Like I said, I've produced that art show, which I just fell into. I lied my way onto the floor. I'm 18 years old, moving, furniture and fine art because I just grabbed a porter gig in Boston for like $20 an hour. And I got a little bit of a background in art. And, I'm watching everybody and I'm watching the person running the floor. And I just went up to the owner of the thing. And I was like, I've done stuff like this before. I could run this better than this. This thing's a mess right now. And I changed a couple things right there that just kind of streamlined the load in. He hired me right there on the spot. And so he was great to work with. He really paid a lot of attention to details. Someone pays $20,000 for a booth. They want it to be right. So that's kind of how I was brought up. Like, treat every booth as my own. Like I don't stick anybody in a spot that's like has a banister right in front of their booth just so I can sell it for $300 or $400. You know, like I treat every spot as my own and try to put myself behind that table and see if I'm going to be happy with it. You know, I'm not going to jam you up against a wall and give you 1.5 feet to work with behind there, you know, so I can squeeze another row of tables in there and make more money.
I think
we could teach a seminar. We need Joe to teach a seminar if you want to start your own con.
But I always wanted to be involved in horror movies, like I said. So, you know, I'm completely blown away that I work with the people that I work with, that I get phone calls from people like Brett, you know, like
but it was still always something you dreamed of, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm shocked that I'm here, but I definitely wanted to be here, you know.
You earned it, man.
And I've definitely put out a lot of magazines as a kid when you're just cutting out the pictures and drawings and your friends are drawing stuff and you're copying them onto Xerox and you get that master page and run them off and, you know, sell them hand to hand. And, you know, that was how I was brought up. So to be able to do it on a much professional level and have a better budget is kind of a big dream. So I'm excited.
Well, you not only do one con, but you're doing two. You do, and as we said, you just had one. You had the Girls of Horror in there. You had a lot of the girls set up. So talk about how you decided to do one, and now you're doing two.
So that's two stories, and one might be better suited for when we meet. You know?
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
The other was just, again, like, you know, there was no horror shows at the time when I came back and started doing these. Rock and Shock was gone, which was our October show, and Scaricon was our summer show, and it was gone. So I was like, well, you know, the first MonstahXpo just went over so amazingly well, I feel, for a first show, and all the vendors were so happy, and they were all like, when's the next one? I was like, all right. So I went to the venue, and the venue was like, you know, your group is great. Like, you know, you're so easy to work with. We're used to working with brides that we have to hold their hand every day. We're dealing with another thing. It's like you guys just came in, put the show together, brought in stuff we've never seen before. We all had such a great thing. Of course, we want you back. So they just rented to us right there, and we just sold the show out pretty much right there again, and just picked a date and called it halfway to Halloween.
That's the thing that really gets me too. Is it is funny because the horror fans, you think like, oh, well, everybody's going to be well behaved at a wedding unless you've actually been to one. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But horror fans, even compared to Comic-Con fans, the horror fans, they're going to come in and they're the most peaceful,
exactly,
least problematic people. I've been to quite a few now, and it doesn't matter the state, you still get that same vibe. You still get that same.
Yep, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think people get a little scared at first, like it's the first time.
They think that it's going to be like,
my God, what are we getting into? This place is going to burn down.
Yeah. So I had, you know, we get a police detail. We've never had a problem. Some towns make you get a police detail, but I'm more of a believer. Like, if I'm going to pay security, I'm just going to pay a cop. I'm going to cut out the middleman. You know, so some people, a security guard's a challenge. A cop is a deterrent. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway. Yeah. So the first cop, he was great. You know, the lieutenant came down because he wanted to see what was going on, and he just loved it right off the bat. And they were great, but the second woman that came, she had that, you know, shell shock when she came in. You know, I got vendors there with the Liberty spikes, and they're all chained up, and they're the sweetest people in the world. But she's just like watching them, waiting for them. But by the end of the show, she's taking selfies with them, and you know what I mean. So it's definitely true. There's a stigma there, but it goes away really quick when you start hanging out with this crowd. Like they are. And I think it's the age genre too. Like my shows, I'm not going to invite somebody that I don't want to meet. So it's all people that I want to meet. You know what I mean? So I kind of concentrate on that 30 to 50 age group, where it's just, you know, the people that have, you know, money to spend, and they decorate their house with horror year round. They're not what I call the generic horror fan, where it's like, oh, I like Freddy Krueger, the guy with the hockey mask. He's at the horror show down the road. We're gonna go see him.
Questions, and it's like, I don't know if somebody's pulling my chain, but yeah, you're gonna meet my parents, both my parents. That's another group of people I'd never expect. My parents, my mom and dad, and anybody who knows my parents before or after would tell you there's no way they'd enjoy. My parents absolutely love horror conventions and going to people, and they're the last people you'd expect to be horror fans, but it does provide that environment. That's what's so great about horror conventions. I've always loved horror, and the conventions on top and the atmosphere. I mean, it's so much fun.
So as you know, we had a problem with the hotel where, you know, the rooms aren't available. So it's just the exposition center now. So we had to find another hotel, which was like 10 or 12 minutes down the road. They had called, you know, the Clarion and asked about how the crowd was, you know, should we host these people? And I guess they gave them some great, you know, reviews or something. And I was talking to the guy and he's like, you know, so we usually have this big hockey crowd coming in, but I think I would rather host your guys more because I just don't want to deal with them. So if you want it, you got it. You know, so you're like, cool. You know, I think you're going to like these guys. So they're waiting. So that seems pretty excited. They gave us a great space to hang out with on the Friday and the Saturday night. So everybody can just come down on the bar. They're going to put some extra bartenders on. We get the whole patio to ourselves, the whole lobby. So it's going to be a great time on the Friday and Saturday night.
That's awesome. And if you need any MC, and if you need anybody up there on the stage if we're going to do anything, any giveaways or anything, I will nominate John there and myself. We can always get up there and help you up, whatever you need going on. I mean, you know, I went to, not that I've been to the Massachusetts or the Boston area. I did maybe 6-7 years ago. I did Rock and Shock, so I got to go down. And that was my only convention I ever did in the area. So, and I've always been looking for stuff because there has been some good stuff out there. And I was talking, and I think this is how I came upon you, Joe, was a friend, and hopefully I don't butcher his last name, but Paul Bernia.
Sounds like you nailed it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Paul is a good friend of mine that I met at a couple. In fact, I met him at Rock and Shock. He came down, had me sign something. And he says, well, you got to get out here. You got to get out here and come do a show. You got to do another show. And I'm like, I don't even know who's running shows out there. I don't know. And I think he finally said, hey, you know, I went to this guy's show. It's a good show. They got good people there. And I think that's how I got a hold of you, through Paul. And and then the rest is history. And man, I'm super pumped up because I think I think all that you're doing and some of the guests so far that you've announced, which hopefully you're going to announce maybe a few more tonight. Who knows if we can drag that out of you. But I think the stuff that you're providing, you know, and you're backing up a lot of this stuff too. So a lot of the people that you're going to come this year are going to come next year to your shows with that magazine. They can even throw some ads in there and say, hey, man, make sure you come down to this. I'm going to be here. And it's a nice dual package to have.
That's definitely what I was thinking. You know, it was going to be a great outlet for letting people know about the show and who's at the show, because it's kind of treating it just like a show. It's a magazine. I have space. I have people that fill the spaces. You know, I put their stuff in the space and put it all together. But yeah, you know, the one thing I told people when I started doing this show was that there's so many horror shows that are just autograph shows. You know, the people come in, you stand there for the VIP hour. People run right past your booth because they want to get in line, so they don't have to wait all day to meet these huge names. And that's a great format. It works for some people. It works for doesn't. Personally, as a vendor, I've done better at shows with less guests because people come to see the vendors instead of the guests. So we concentrate more on that. Of course, we want to have our guests, but I made a promise to never go crazy with guests, to never go crazy with photo ops, to never go crazy with things that are going to suck money off of the vendor floor. And we're trying to build a crowd of people, like I talked about before, that live horror. You know, 24/7, they decorate with horror. They're always thinking about horror. It's Halloween every fucking day for these people. You know, the independent people that just come and, you know, we want those people that are going to get their autographs. And so far, it's worked out for everybody. Every celebrity has blown their guarantee away. They've all left happy because the show's not watered down. They're not sitting there on their phone waiting for someone to come. You know, the two girls had lines all weekend long. We completely underestimated them. Felissa never stopped. She's a machine. Like she wouldn't even take a lunch break. So her line was just all day long on the Saturday. And, you know, Linnea is just a sweetheart. So she'll just talk to everybody. And, you know, her line, you know, just kept constantly filling up. So it seems like everybody was been working and, you know, being happy. And I've been to tons of shows with 20 celebrity guests and they've bombed just as bad, you know, as shows with 3, you know. So I don't think that the guests and the guest lineup make the show. I think it's the advertising, the vibe, the word of mouth, and the partying, the people that want to go and see their friends and connect with everybody, see their family that, you know, that they only see at these shows. So that's what we're focusing on, you know. So we try to stay around 4 guests for the halfway to Halloween and 8 for the returns of the October show. So we got a couple more guests up our sleeve. We're not done yet.
Yeah,
but we're not going to blow it up.
Let's talk about some of the people you got there, because you got some, you know, horror royalty actually going to be there, and then you got me and John. But you got, you know, who? Listen, so you got Michael Berryman coming in. So if you don't know Michael Berryman, folks, and you're a horror person or a horror fan, I don't know what you're watching, because Michael Berryman's been in everything. Of course, The Hills Have Eyes, and you know, one of my favorite. He was in Weird Science, and
That's
then
what I was just, that line in Weird Science is just the line.
So, and then I finally got to meet Michael up at Frightmare in the Falls last year up in Canada, and I was like, you know, it's just an honor to meet you. And he was such a nice guy. So I'm you know, I'm super excited to see him. They're going to be there.
So many comments on how he's just so nice and personable, and just has so many great stories.
Now, is it Dr. Satan, Walter Phelan?
Yep.
Got to sit next to Walter Phelan. We had the booth next to each other at Krypt in California this year in February. What a nice guy. And plus he's a musician. He's like in some punk band.
Yep.
So not only is he an actor in House of a Thousand, I think is it House or
both, I think.
Both, yeah. So Devil's Rejects.
He was in Devil's Rejects with Michael.
That's right. Yep. So he had all these people coming up to get autographs, but they were also, hey, can you sign the CD? Can you?
Awesome, cool.
They were talking music with him, which was great. So Walter's a great guy. Of course, then you got one of the greatest leather faces of all time. Not me, but you got Bob Elmore coming in, which is great. I got to work, sit next to Bob Elmore as well at Krypt and Mark Burnham, who's a great guy, the new Leatherface from Netflix. Bob Elmore was so cool. And I was so excited to be able to, you know, finally meet him, because I've been, you know, friends with him on Facebook and whatnot. But what a great, and then of course you got the lost Leatherface himself, and from the Crazies, me coming in. So, you know, two Leatherfaces coming in, Michael Berryman, Walter Phelan, Brimstone. You'd have to tell me a little bit about Brimstone.
So Brimstone, I met at a convention last year. And his energy was just amazing. You know, he was there as a guest. He started as a wrestler. He's more of an entrepreneur now. He has a couple talk shows. You know, he's done some couple smaller TV roles. You know, he has all sorts of different things. But he's mostly a talk show guy and stuff like this. And you know, but his energy was just fantastic. He was just coming in the room, and he's just, is everybody ready to have a great day? You know, and so we talked, and I was like, I'd really love you to be like the voice of MonstahXpo. So he's coming. You're going to hear his voice, hopefully the right amount. You know, we're trying to find that balance. I hate when you go to a show and they just never shut up. You know, they just talk constantly on that microphone. Like, oh, I go see this guy, that guy. So we want to keep a nice balance of letting people know when movies are starting, when panels are starting, when, you know, Brett's doing his photo ops or stuff like that. You know, so he's going to be the voice of MonstahXpo. So we really we hit it off well that weekend, and I think he's going to bring a great energy to the show.
That's all right. All right. Very nice. Excited to meet Brimstone at MonstahXpo. And like you said, we're also doing, you know, a lot of us are going to be doing the full costume photo ops. So I'm sure me and Bob are going to be doing that. Maybe we can do a double.
Yeah.
You can get two leather faces in one photo shot, which anything is possible. But
we got a great spot for you too. You and Bob against one wall. You have this whole area to yourself for the leather faces, and then the door to get in the room is right there, and then John's right there along the wall, right in the corner, right near you. So you guys are gonna have a great little corner of the show, right to just fill up and take your pictures and, you know, have fun and scare people and do whatever you want to do.
John, we got our own corner.
Yeah, it's gonna be my first time in person meeting my artist, and Brett's first time meeting in person. Artist Michael Toth is going to be there. My parents are going to be there. Also, my good friend Kyle Rappaport's going to be sitting with me and helping me out.
Nice.
Actor, movie buff one's got a great YouTube channel, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hopefully see, like I said, a lot of my old friends from Massachusetts. It'd be great to see them at the event. I hope they come out. I know actually my buddy Joe Collins, who's out there, I know he's coming in to help out. So it's going to be I think you're going to have a great show, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been some years since I've been back to Rhode Island or Massachusetts. And last time I was there, it was really busy and a lot different than I had been 10 years ago. It was before, like I used to go to Providence, Rhode Island all the time. That was like
Yeah.
the in and out place,
Yep.
teal green. I'm going there. That's worse than driving in Boston now.
Yep. Yep.
You know, I'd be like, what happened to Rhode
Providence
Island?
has its up and downs, that's for sure. You know,
It was nice as a kid because I'd just go and it was
Yep.
like 10 minutes from Woonsocket if you rode it right. But yeah, I'm excited to go back and see Taunton. It's been a long time since I've been to Taunton. So
yeah, we got a lot of nice restaurants in the area too, but we're gonna have a bunch of food trucks too. If you don't feel like going anywhere, you know, we got 3 or 4 food trucks lined up. Probably gonna add some more. Ecto One just said he's gonna come, so we might park some movie cars outside, take some pictures with it, you know, things like that. Massachusetts Ghostbusters might come with the Ecto One, so you can get some pictures of them with the car. Maybe make a donation for you know, support cancer research, something along those lines. I forgot what they were raising for this time.
I miss the food in Massachusetts. I might have to go to China Lotus one night. That's all. You know China Lotus and Rentham?
Yep.
Yeah, I used to go there. Awesome Chinese food.
I mean, Fall River in Massachusetts has its own distinct Chinese food. Like you can't get that style Chinese food anywhere else except, you know, that end of Mass.
Rentham, and I mean, I grew up with some great food in Franklin. You know, you had everybody's were friends and family, and every Italian restaurant, it seemed like no matter where you went amazing Italian food. I'm not even Italian, but that knows just from all the pasta and lasagna I ate as a kid.
We're gonna have to hook you guys up with some Portuguese food. That's
I'm down.
That's what you know, we're known for. The Taunton Fall River area has got some great Portuguese food. As long as you like garlic, you're gonna love it.
Obrigado. I'm ready, buddy. Let's go. Let's any Chinese food sounding great now. Hey, listen, crab. Now we should have some crab out there, right? Isn't that the lobster? Sorry.
Yeah, lobsters. Yeah. I mean, we got crabs, but the crabs aren't really anything special. You know, you want to go down to Maryland for like the good crabs.
All right, I'm ready for lobster.
We got good lobster. We got good clams. You know, we got good shellfish in the area.
Seafood, Italian, you name it, Chinese. The food in Massachusetts, I miss it. And I'm sorry, Kansas City, Missouri. Your food's just not on the same level. It's not bad. There's some decent places, but not even close to the food.
Kansas City is a whole different animal as far, but I do love, and I'm going to throw it out there, folks. If you're in Kansas City, you go to Town Topic Burger Place. That's in there. There's 2 of them out there in Kansas City. Just amazing burgers. They've had the grill, I think, for 40 years. So the key is all that grease and that grill for 40 years there, Joe.
Nice.
You can just imagine how good that smash burger tastes. But in fact, the first time I got to meet John was I was doing a show out there, the Gustero's chopper show, motorcycle show, and John came down with some of his guys, and we got to hang out a little bit, which was great. So, I mean, look, we're obviously we're excited to be coming out there. It's going to be, we're real, you know, we're pumping the show. But now, Joe, listen, you got to give us a hint. I know you work. I know there's some other people coming. Just give us a hint. Give me a movie.
I can't even go that far because we get so many people that we're waiting to hear from but the only hint I can give you without getting myself in trouble is that my better half is saying we got a sausage fest going on. We need some girls in this show. So we need some female actresses to come for this one. We got all guys.
Absolutely. And
all right.
I'm sure. I mean, that's a whole bunch of wonderful.
Yeah, I know it's not much yet.
Yeah.
But,
it's not a hint at all. To be honest, no. But I'm sure whoever you bring in, because even like you said, you got really great quality guests already. You got Bob Elmore, you got Michael Berryman. I mean, it's really, really cool guests that people are going to enjoy. The Big Schwag, you know, he's going to dress up, and he's a lot of fun. He's going to have amazing stuff on his table. And like
I'm definitely confident that, you know, it's going to be a good weekend for the guests and the celebrities. You know, especially like, you know, with the Leatherface, I have no problem at all ever bringing like Leatherfaces or Jasons or Michael Myers. Like, there's just so many things that those guys can sign, you know, like you guys can sign pops, you can sign sledgehammers, you can sign movies, you can sign posters, you can find endless action figures, where a lot of guests can only sign a picture, you know, maybe just a DVD, like they don't have any kind of merch, you know. So it's like you don't feel like they're going to do too well. So it's kind of like you don't want to waste their time, waste our time. But we've always had people bringing in multiple Michael Myers masks. And when CJ came, it was tons of Jason masks. And that added with the fact that you're definitely a sought after autograph right now. You haven't been to like a bunch of shows, and those chainsaw collectors are going to want that signature. I think it's going to be a good weekend. We're going to see a lot of awesome cosplay. We're going to see a lot of leather faces. Hopefully we'll see some, other characters from Chainsaw coming in as well. But I think it's going to be a good weekend.
I've learned and starting to do, because I haven't done a lot of cons, and over the last 2 years I've started to do the cons, and a lot more people, and with John's help and doing the show, realized there was 2 guys that play Leatherface in that 2003 remake. So it's always wonderful. But now, like you said, the key is you got to find stuff. Once you've sold the same pictures over a couple of years, people, I've gotten your picture, right? So the thing is to search and find, the Funko Pops, the blockheads. John's got a plethora of artists, and Michael Toth, for instance, that I use, that he now does these Leatherface hockey masks for me, right?
Yeah.
It's a hockey mask, but he puts, he hand paints our Leatherface mask on it, which I just yesterday was with Eileen Dietz sitting next to me, and Lee Waddell, the original Ghostface killer, was on the other side, and we were signing yesterday and had these hockey masks, and people were coming up going, let me see that hockey mask for a second. And they thought it was really cool. Look
Nice.
at, yes, it's a blend of, it's a blend, right? It's, you think of the hockey mask as, well, it's Jason. Well, it's Jason, but it's got our Leatherface mask hand painted on it. So the key is to just come up with cool stuff, different stuff, and always be gracious when someone wants to come up, whether they buy a picture or something. But yes, certain franchises, there's a lot of stuff you can bring to the table. And even though I never use the chainsaw, I still sign a bunch of chainsaws all the time. So
what is going on, Peter? Anthony Hill will be at MonstahXpo, writer-director of Roseblood.
Oh, cool.
Actor from, Vengeance 1 and 2. Awesome guy. He's going full-time acting now, so I'm excited to see him there. Peter's a great guy. And if you haven't had a chance to check out Roseblood or Vengeance 1 and 2, check it out. You can check them out on YouTube.
Hopefully we can maybe screen one at the show.
I'm sure he'd love to. Yeah, Peter's great.
We got a full-size amphitheater. We got a horror convention, horror movie marathon going on for both days, Happenstance Horror Fest. So he's been collecting independent movies all year long, so we'll be showing all those for the 2 days. But we also have 2 other theater breakaway rooms that we'll be doing screenings in as well.
Wow.
So we haven't nailed down exactly which ones yet, but probably going to try to do at least one of the chainsaws, and probably Devil's Rejects or something like that, so we can get Michael and Walter in. But yeah, going back to Walter real quick, he was a big double whammy for me, because Walter's not only a suit actor, he's a special effects artist. So he works on the other side, which I want to talk more to him about that. Go more into the effects side in his panel, and hopefully get another special effects guy coming in to work with him and talk about working on that stuff in the movies. Because that's a perfect guest to me, someone who's played an iconic character and also works in the special effects side, which I'm really into. So I'm really excited to meet Walter.
That'll be very cool.
And that's a whole animal in itself. Special effects guys, I'm always amazed, and getting to work with some of the famous and older guys that I've worked with that have been in the business. But then I get amazed when I get to work with, I just worked with a guy named Eric Yoder, who's very young, but he did all our special effects for Desert Fiends, and just an amazing, amazing artist and special effects guy. And, these people, they get, just like you, Joe, who got, excited when all these movies that we saw when we were younger and looking at this stuff, and, American Werewolf in London. I'm partial to The Howling, all that stuff, The Howling.
Yep.
Forgot when The Howling came out and you got to see those werewolves, that stuff blew my mind, when they were transforming, or
exactly. Werewolves were my thing. That's for sure. And they scared the hell out of me. I was way too young to be watching what I was watching. I was up all night, but I still watched it, But Yeah, those old 80s horror movies, a good amount of my childhood was just spent in a video store just staring at boxes, just looking at those box covers, trying to pick what horror movie is going to be next.
Some great boxes, and the surprise was always there. You just never knew.
I loved it. I feel so blessed to grow up in the 80s. You know, like to me, the 80s was just the best horror genre time ever. It was so mainstream, and it was just what I was looking for and what I'm trying to recapture, I guess, at these shows.
I was born in '76, so like the '80s is my whole childhood.
Yep. So 75 myself, so
yeah. So
you babies.
Well, I mean, listen, its best. Let me put it that way. And since we're talking about SFX, like I said, at MonstahXpo, I'm so excited to bring some of these tables, all these talented people that work so hard in Doomsday's Krypt, whether it's Josh Lucas, Michael Toth, Daniel Cruz was here, you name it. There's just so many talented people we're going to have on the table. And that's where I like the SFX guys. They really enjoy seeing these guys, and I love talking about each and every one of them that I'll be bringing to the table. I think you guys will really enjoy it, man.
So remind me who does the busts?
Well, Lonnie McCull, or that's Josh Lucas, sculpted, made the three-eyed demon. And then the Freddies, and I'm going to have a lot of work from both these guys. The Freddy and the Arnold Schwarzenegger is, I got this chest of souls right here, so I'll pull this up. But this is done by Graven Images, Graven Images, and this is the chest of soul.
Yeah,
Benson, I sent one to him. He owns one, and acrylic eyes. But these things are just amazing in person. He does. I'll have V1s. He calls them some probably some revenges. So different Freddy's on the table, and that's just one thing. Pennywise, we're gonna have by.
So by chance, are any of those artists the same ones that made the one for B?
Yeah. Well, no, not out of them. That was the different artist for B.
Because that's the one. That's the only one I've saw. I've seen the one that B brought to the show, and I was just wondering if it was.
He was a talented guy named Vinny. Yeah, Vinny Cucarato. But I'll have a few of his things on the table. But a lot of these newer pieces are from Lonnie or Daniel Cruz or Jesse Aarons or one of these guys.
Awesome.
But I will have some amazing work you'll see from Vinny also on the table. He does. If I can show you. This one is one of my favorite pieces.
Oh, wow. Look at all this, huh?
I'll be bringing that for sure because that's signed by all the Myers, or almost not all the Myers, but Chris Duran, Don Shanks, James Jude Courtney, Nick Castle, PJ Souls.
So,
that's
nice.
Yeah, it's a cool piece. He does some amazing work. He's House is a Horror. Anybody who likes work, check out Vinny Cucarato.
Awesome.
Good guy, incredible talent. So busy this year in convention stuff, those houses and stuff take a ton of time for him. So I'll be bringing some of his work. I do have the radio station, the KOKLA. I'll be bringing that. It's already signed by Bill Mosley and Bill Johnson. So to get Bob Elmore's signature on it will be pretty sweet.
Cool. Yeah, no, that'll be fun.
You know what a fun thing is I like to I'm a big fan, right? I'm still a fan. I'm not just some guy that's an actor. And John's the same way, as you can tell by John's room and all the stuff he collects. But I got stuff that I need Michael Berryman to sign for me. I got stuff that I need Walter Phelan to sign for me. So as much as I'm going to be there signing and taking pictures and everything, I'm going around myself and then I can't help but go look at the vendor stuff, right? I love going to vendors, and I love seeing, what they got, especially if it's something I can do a deal. Like in Canada, when I saw the blockheads, I was like, well, these things are the coolest things in the world, and I've never seen it. And I said, can you do a Leatherface blockhead for me? The guy goes, of course, yeah. So, I mean, it's always cool to go around and see what other people are doing, especially the artistic wise. And, both me and John and you, Joe, love the, special effects guys and the mask makers and everything else. So, and what's great about John is he gives a lot of these guys, these artists, which, they might have, some of them have a name and some of them are acquiring names, which is great. And we get to be able to showcase these guys because people may not know that there's, Horror School Customs, Jordan and Clayface Creation, Josh, they did my mask my new mask that I'm having, the Wagner mask that's coming out. They do my costumes. That's these guys' full-time jobs.
Yeah,
that's what they do year round. They don't have a normal job. They're making masks. They're making stuff. They're making they're making full costumes for people.
It's a lot of work.
It's definitely a hard job, and people don't realize it. Don't realize there's these folks out there. So what's nice about your show, what's nice about us on our podcast, that we get to showcase some of these people, and we let the folks come and see their work. So yeah, we're going to have especially at John's tables, he's going to have there. We're going to have some just tremendous artists that the folks are going to be able to see their work.
It's going to be a full table of awesome. Whether it's
definitely
art pieces, black light, the cutouts, shirts.
I can. I'll get you. The actual measurements of the wall, because I think you have more space than just your table. I think you actually have a spot that's just yours, so you actually have a little more wall space too to work with. So you can know how much space you actually have to work with. But we just keep us updated, because I like I said, I try to pride myself in the fact that we announce every vendor. We give them an announcement just like we would give a guest. We get the links to their stores, their social media, stuff like that. So if there's anything you want to,
you did a nice banner. You did a nice one announcement for me.
Yeah, we got you up. Yeah,
you want. Yeah.
And
I love that. You used some great pictures. I really.
As the show gets closer, we'll do pages like, check out the artists of MonstahXpo, and we'll do like a group of all the people that do like 3-dimensional arts together. Do a post for them, and just keep sharing all the vendors that are going to be there just as much as we share the guests, because it's all somebody that all works together. We can't just have successful vendors, and we can't just have successful guests. Everybody's gonna have a successful weekend to keep that vibe happy and everybody coming back.
Absolutely.
Man, oh man, I'm excited. So Joe, tell the folks at home, if they want to get a hold of you or check out who's going to be at the show and where to go, what do they do?
Just type MonstahXpo in the search bar. You'll find us. There's nobody else that takes up anything else. Just Monstah with the New England accent. There's no R's. MonstahXpo.
I was just about to say.
I've got all the links in the description too on Facebook and YouTube. So,
but yeah, you can go
how
to
it sounds.
MonstahXpo.com if you want to go directly. But if you just type MonstahXpo into Google, you'll find us. We do so many posts for all the, the guests, and we're constantly posting every day that we're up there in the search bar. One thing we didn't touch though is this is our third MonstahXpo. This is our 5th show under the MonstahXpo banner, but this is the actual third. MonstahXpo itself, not the halfway to Halloween. So in pure 80s tradition, the third one is 3D. So everybody's getting a pair of 3D glasses when they walk through the door. You're going to be handed a 3D floor map. So your floor map's going to be in 3D. Some of the VIPs will get exclusive 3D prints. We have 3D screenings of movies all weekend. We have panels talking about how 3D influenced horror, not just in the 80s, but in the 50s, because we all know that's all the gimmicks that they threw in those 50s and, horror movies were just phenomenal. I would have loved to be there for that. But, and so we had someone reach out, just coincidentally, they wanted to be featured in the magazine. They didn't even know about the show. It was like, hey, I'm taking, horror movies that are in public domain and transferring them into 3D movies. Is that something you'd want to cover in your magazine? I was like, you got to be kidding me. So he sent me a bunch of trailers for all the stuff he's doing. So we got Gamera in 3D. We got a bunch of old classic horror movies that have never been seen in 3D before that you can come to MonstahXpo now and see in 3D. And you learn about how this guy made these movies and transferred them into, 3D viewing.
I'm excited.
So we're really excited to add that to the show. And I just want to get a picture of everybody walking around in the old school 3D glasses. So we're excited to, add that little.
If that's not 80s, what is?
Exactly.
Well, it's been an awesome time having you on, Joe. I cannot wait for October. It sounds like you put on an amazing event. Beatrice had nothing but the highest of praise for you, and I'm excited. My dude Brett's going to be there, and I appreciate all you coming on and the accommodations.
We're going to have a fun weekend.
Yeah, the MonstahMag, very excited. I can't wait to open it. Well, take a look at it. Definitely want that physical copy in the future.
Yep.
That'll be really exciting.
Anybody watching can go to MonstahMag.com right now, and you can take a peek at that magazine. Even though we officially go live in a half an hour, I'm letting it leak now that it's ready to go.
He's a leaker.
Doomsday's Krypt. What can you do?
Once again, let's give the dates for the show, Monster at 3D Expo.
October 14th and 15th at the Taunton Conference Center in Taunton, Massachusetts. If you need a room, you're hitting up the Fairfield Inn in Taunton, Massachusetts as well.
Bam, right there, ladies and gentlemen. We're really excited. Doomsday's Krypt, Shootin the Shizz with DK and the Schwag going to be in the house for MonstahXpo 3D this coming October. So, hey, Joe, once again, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you coming on.
Hey,
we could sit here and talk for another hour with you.
Easily.
We got to save something for the show.
You got it, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for all the support, and we will see you soon. I don't have anything scheduled yet, but peace out, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Father's Day, you guys.
All those dads out there.
And also one more thing. One of our close friends in the community, an actor, indie actor, Dennis Mallon, passed away. And I do plan on doing a show with some of my fellow podcasters. I know it mean a lot to him. Had him on the show a few times, became a fast friend. Sorry for the loss to his family and his friends, because I only knew him so well, and we became fast friends, and he was a good dude on his way up. A real shame. We love you, Dennis. Big shout out to you. R.I.P. Peace out, guys.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for having me.